Peace and blessings, Wilmington, Newcastle. How's everybody doing today? Listen, a big shout out to Sister Ruth Baker and the Baker family. Listen, the Baker family has been on Channel 28 for some time now, and Ruth Baker wants to tell everybody that she's not finished, but there's some new opportunities. When one door closes, another one opens. So I'm here today to represent the Baker family, and big shout out to the Baker family. If you're watching us, I got much love for you. Ruth Baker and her husband did a fantastic job, and of course the children, they did a fantastic job. Of course, I saw Darius was up there. So again, my name is Jakim Muhammad, and today I'm with Yolanda Muhammad.
Yes, I'm here. I'm co-hosting with you today. I got your back as usual. As usual, I got your back. So hi, Miss Ruth Baker. Thank you again. And I hope everything is going well with you and the family. And much love to everyone.
That is correct. And being that this is March 31st, we had a great day yesterday. It was nice and sunny, and a lot of knuckleheads came out and all that other good stuff. But today, we're back to winter again. So that's why I got my turtleneck on. Let me give a big shout out. This is still Women's History Month, the last day of Women's History Month. I'm going to give a big shout out to my mom. I know you're out there, so you're watching. Big shout out to Malika, Jasmine, Charlene, Dorian. Big shout out, he's not a woman, our son Jerome. Big shout out to Jerome, and big shout out to Kingston in Georgia. You're going to see this years later, our grandson in Georgia. So you're going to see this years later. You're going to say, Granddad's gave me a shout out. So anybody else you want to give a shout out to?
Listen, all the ladies, thank you so much for paving the way for us. I just want to say thank you again. Josie Roy, thank you so much for opening up doors and opportunities for us to see my family of St. Joseph's French Street Catholic Church. I want to say thank you. Much love to all of the ladies that ride the bus with me, that I drive on the Sundays for the bus.
That's right. She drives a church bus on the Sundays for St. Joseph.
Miss Shirley, Miss Ermina,
right.
all of them, all of you. I thank you all. Juliana McGill. I'm going to thank her because she's been a good friend to us.
That's right.
Through thick and thin, so I want to thank her as well. But there's so many people to thank and so many people that have paved the way. All I just ask is that you continue to pave the way for us and for us to remember those ladies in our neighborhoods and our families that have paved the way. You know, they were the ones before you started idolizing or before people started noticing other folks, right?
You know, whether we go national, and there's been some talk about what we do here in Wilmington, both me and Yolanda, and what we're going to do for, we still going to stay Wilmington. We got to stay Wilmington. We're going to stay Wilmington. Whether I start talking about New York City or other political things, or you see me on some other shows, I am still 100% love Wilmington, 100% love Newcastle. So we're going to, and I'm going to finish up what Yolanda was saying about the shout outs. So I wrote them down here. Josie Roy, Ruth Baker. If I'm going too fast, slow me down. Sandy Hale, Dunleith. There go Ruth Baker on the screen. Now, let me tell you something. Ruth Baker and there go Josie Roy. Thank you again. Keisha is on point.
And we can't forget to thank Keisha.
Yes, Keisha Rivers, another woman that's good. Look, Keisha, if you got a picture of yourself, put it up there. I'm all right with it. Don't forget about it. But we also want to do all my ladies down in Dunleith, all the people that are really making a difference and don't get the recognition. I see you. Renee Dickerson, Ebony Wilmer, and listen, enjoy the journey. I'm going to give you a big shout out to Carmela, Carolyn Peak, and Helen Carson and the Carson family. Love y'all to death. Again, Nancy Willing, my people on the blogosphere and Facebook and all that. Big shout out to you. We already gave Juliana McGill. Carmela Crawford, 16th RD. Big shout out to the 16th RD. And my manager, let me give a special shout out to my manager. My manager is with your church, St. Joseph Church, LaVon Robinson. If you're watching this, I don't have to go to New York until next week again. So that's my manager over there. And of course, I'm going to give a shout out to all the ladies. Y'all deserve it, but I got to give a shout out to some guys that were doing some fantastic work in the community. And one of them is right behind that camera. One of them is my man, Dave, the Shutterbug. That's my man over there.
Hey,
Dave is the Shutterbug.
That's right.
I go give a big shout out to him. My man, Pastor McDuffie. You know I love you to death. Robert Hanley. You know what I feel about you, bro. Amin Hassan, our boy. He's a brother from another mother. That's my man, Gary Stillman. You may not be watching because he live in Newark, but if he's watching, big shout out to them.
Okay. Can I just add to it before we
sure,
move on?
you can add to it.
I just want to add a couple of things. We have a great couple that we have come to know and we've come to love because of this LAPA organization.
Yes.
And that's Dwayne and Shauna from the upper room. So we want to send a shout out to you and say thank you, and we love you as well. I want to say, Mercedes Fields.
Yes.
I have not seen you in a while. I'm coming over to see you at William Hicks Anderson Center.
That's right.
You and I have got some things to talk about. Let's get some things created and moving and shaking. But that is a wealth. That's a gem to the community. That lady is a gem.
Yes, she is.
So I
big
just
shout
wanted
out
to say
to Mercedes. Can I give a big shout out to Brigetta? Brigetta Harris, her daughter. Brigida. I always say Brigetta, but it's Brigida. Now, Brigida was down there for the Democratic convention that we had about 2 weeks ago and then Saturday. And you should have saw these ladies doing work. They were looking over every rule change. In fact,
Medina.
Medina, a big shout out to Medina. They was going over every rule change that they was going through with a fine-tooth comb. A big shout out to Faith Morris. Give her a big shout out.
Yes, yes.
Faith, we love you to death.
Keep
you know
the faith.
Keep the faith with Faith Morris Parker, Faith Parker Morris. And a big shout out to CBTU. Now, CBTU don't get a lot of props when we're on here. They were getting a lot of props before, but we want to give a big shout out to CBTU. And if you got anything up there, Keisha, that you want to push now or the next thing, we'll talk about it because we got a lot of graphics for you today. So be very aware. This is a great one. Now, one of our great leaders in our communities was the late El-Hajj Malik Shabazz. And one of the things he said, instead of changing the minds of the white man, we need to change the minds of the black man and make him accept himself. And as soon as he accepts himself, he'll solve his own problems. Now, let me just bring that camera right back to me. Now, I'm going to put a little extra on him. When Malcolm said black man, he was talking about black family. Believe that. He was not just talking about the black man himself, because we're not keeping anybody out. Whether black women are important parts, but as soon as we start changing our perceptions of ourselves, we can go a lot further. We don't have to change anybody else. Let's change us first. What's your next one you got, Keisha? So this is important for us. Now,
change.
And now, she said change.
Change.
But I want you to see something. Years ago, I used to do a little bit of acting when I was up in New York as well. And I used to do a little, and I've had many music groups. If you don't know, I'm a bass player and I play the keyboards and all that stuff.
Tambourine.
And my wife plays the tambourine. She's the best tambourine player I have ever seen in my life. Forget about it. She's the best. Forget about it. The next one you got, Keisha. She's the next. Because somebody said, this is the ladies working. You see Sister Medina over there and Sister Yolanda. They are going through the rule changes. And let me comment on that for a second, if you give me that camera. The Democratic Party in Delaware needs an enema. See, what we have in the Democratic Party is that we've got the same people who want to stay in power, and they do the same thing as the conservatives. There's no difference between conservative racism and liberal racism. It's the same thing, two sides of the same coin. There's a lot of people that want to be in charge and want black folks to help them get elected, but do not want black folks in charge. So I'm always fighting the fight with the Democratic Party. That's my party. I love them, but I'm always want them to do better. And every time we go down to one of these things, it always reminds me of that we need to do better. Get on the next one. All right, this is for all y'all that have not been paying attention. I say this, and this is from a Twitter, one of my Twitter friends on there, Matt Walsh. I say this to Beto fans, Trump fans. I can even say it to Bernie Sanders fans. All fans of politicians, it is un-American and ridiculous and dangerous to be fans of a politician. They aren't pop stars. Support them if you agree with them, with their policies, but criticize them when they go wrong. They are servants, not celebrities. Now, bring it back to me, Keish. Sister Keish, I keep telling y'all the same thing. I see it on Facebook, I see it on Instagram, and I see it on Twitter. You keep taking pictures with these damn politicians like they are celebrities. They're not. They're servants, public servants working for you. And every time you take a photo op with them and they put it on there, they act like they doing something. They're not. In fact, I wish you'd stop taking all those doggone pictures and get back to Dover and get some real legislation that helps the community. Community first. What do you think about that?
Well, I have to say, I took a picture this week with a politician.
Which one?
And the reason I did, I took a picture with Kendra Johnson.
Oh, I like Kendra.
She's the state representative for the 5th District, and that's down towards Bear, Newark, sort of that area. But there's also a reason for it. We're showing also that that representative came out to the community.
Yes.
They came out and participated with the community in an event that was beneficial to the community, and that was the AmeriHealth Caritas Wellness Center opening ceremony. So I went down there, I found out about the AmeriHealth Caritas because I have a lot of clients that are Medicaid participants. They have AmeriHealth Caritas as their provider for Medicaid. So what I wanted to do was be able to be, again, because community is first.
That's right, community first.
I wanted to be a resource to tell them, well, what are they doing down there? What did they open? When you say wellness center, what does that mean? Doesn't mean that you're going in to get your checkup. That's one thing. It's the other parts of you to keep you well, mental health as well. You know, your community health, your mental health. They'll be having a food pantry, and not just a food pantry for those that are just their members, but a food pantry that can assist those that are just in need. So you go down there, it's off of Route 40 in that Glendale Plaza, but I'm sure if you're an AmeriHealth Caritas member, you can call up your number on the back of your card and find out what you need, what classes they're having. They're having resume writing to help them with job search. They have a section for that. They have a section for, they're going to do some demonstrations or some cooking, you know, classes and things like that, and better ways to use your benefits and the things that you're eligible for. So that was one of the reasons, and you had politicians that were there from the community. Senator Brian Townsend came down, but Kendra Johnson came down and she said a few things about educating the members and getting health care and being that, especially those that are special needs, with a lot of them that she deals with on a regular with work. It was very good to speak with her about some upcoming things that they're trying to do and pass. And we're going to try to work together and do these things for the community. So that's why I took a picture so I can promote.
Good.
So if I need to.
Well, let me just say this. Kendra Johnson, you get a pass for that one. I'm going to give you a pass on that one, but I'm going to tell you this. I was very disappointed at the beginning of this year, all those stupid town hall meetings that they were having, but yet did not want to really get to the core problems. Yes. We keep getting to substance. And let me, some of my liberal friends, they do this all the time. They want to talk about mass incarceration and they want to talk about legalizing marijuana. Like those are the only things that we need to talk about. Maybe they'll talk about some education, but you're not getting to the core because all of that is a connective tissue. We have a more deeper problem about white supremacy, white racism, and racism, period. Bigotry, sexism, classism. We've got a bigger problem. You keep talking about the surface things. And that's what I find when we go to these little town hall meetings, whether they be in the black box at the Route 9 library or even in Wilmington. They don't get to the surface. It's like me going to all these DART. Now, you know I've gone to at least 20, 25 dark things. And sometimes we don't get to the surface. Everybody starts talking about the bus drivers, everybody starts talking about those, but we don't get to the surface. We don't get to really why you're not providing real service to the community. So that's my little spiel, that's my little commentary. You'll probably see a little bit more of that on April 22nd when we do What's It To You with Jakim. You'll see it from there. So Keisha, whatever you have next. So this is one of my great ones. Again, I showed this last week, but I'm going to show it again. Of course, if you don't know Shark Tank, that's Daymond John. And Daymond John had a great meme that, and we've seen him many times in New York. He only picks up the phone for problem solvers. What he's saying is don't call him for a problem and don't have a solution. He's not saying don't call him for a problem. That's not what he's saying. He said don't call and have a problem and don't have a solution. That's important. Next one. That's important for all of us to understand. And let me get a big shout out. I got to do it for, you know I got to give it to him. Mr. Bob Watson, 95 plus years old, the oldest member of the 16th RD Democratic Committee. We want a big shout out to you. We know you're watching right now. And Mr. Bob Watson still drive his truck. Am I right or wrong, Yolanda?
He drive his truck, he drive his Chrysler. And you put him behind the wheel of something, he's going to drive it.
I know.
And he drive that walker right into something, and I have to slow him down quite often. He driving that walker somewhere. So, you know, Mr. Watson, I love him to death.
Love him
to death.
Mr. Watson, when we first came here, Mr. Watson was talking about how he was out there and the only one that was protesting the diamond material on the Route 9 corridor when they was putting all that granite and asphalt in the air. He was the only one. Nobody wanted to protest with him out there because they, you know, and I love that spirit. If you don't have a reason, if you have a chance to have a voice and you're not speaking up for the people, I got no time for you.
Right.
I've got no time for you. And we talked about Mr. Watson. Last night my father gave me a call and I told him, my father said, my father is almost 80. Almost
Really?
80, yeah, he's almost 80. Your father-in-law is almost 80. and he said he was still driving. I said, well, I beat you this. Mr. Watson's 95 plus, and he's still driving. So big shout-outs to Mr. Watson. See what you got next,
But
Keisha.
you know what? I want to say one thing about Mr. Watson before you. Mr. Watson, for everybody, all of my seniors that I love you to death, and you tell me that you can't go to a meeting, oh, I'm too old for that. I'm too old for that. Mr. Watson still come to his meetings,
Yes,
and
he
he's
do.
95 years old.
Yes, he do.
So let's not use that excuse. Let's put that excuse in the last year's bin, and let's move on to a new excuse of not having an excuse.
That was 2018. In fact, that's funny because we didn't think he was coming to our last 16th RD meeting because he had his great grandchildren in town. And lo and behold, at 6 o'clock, Mr. Watson showing up with his walker, and he came to the meeting. Big shout out to him. Let me show you the next one,
Yep.
so you can talk about this next picture.
Oh, we just talked about Brigida.
Yes, yes.
So this is great. This is when we were down there doing our civic thing down there at the Democratic Convention for the state of Delaware. And we went down there, we were talking about some of those rule changes that we showed the picture earlier about the rule changes and everything. And man, it was democracy in action.
Yes, it was. It was.
You know, and still, I'm sorry to say, the room was kind of light.
200 delegates.
So there were 200, no, I think it was more than 200 delegates in there, maybe.
Right.
At least there were at least 200 delegates from all 3 counties of Delaware, but not a lot of minority delegates around the state of Delaware there.
That's true.
I'm just saying that the room was a little light, not because of how many people, but the tone of the room was a little light-skinned.
There you go.
And I would love to see in the future that we get more of us involved. And involvement doesn't mean that you have to take on the whole project. The involvement in knowing what's going on, you just have to get involved.
So to piggyback off of what Yolanda said, I'm reaching out to you right now, to our public in Wilmington, in Newcastle, and whoever can hear the sound of my voice. 2020 is coming. I need you off the sidelines. You have got to get off the political sidelines and get involved in our school board and every other race that you have. And if you got just $5 to support people who are supporting you, big shout out to Trippy Congo, to Vash Turner, to Yolanda McCoy, and to Sister Rashima Dixon. Big shout out. We got to support people who support us. That's what I'm saying.
That's very true. That's
Big,
very true.
So give me the next one, Keisha. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. I ain't going to read the whole thing to you, but Harry Truman, who was our president in 1949, said you gotta watch out that the people are lobbying against you 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So if you're fighting for the people in your city, that has to be a constant fight because the other side is out there and they're not getting any sleep. Let me go to the next one, please, Keisha. All right, this is important to me. This is important because we just had an issue that they said that in one of the counties down south, of course, but don't think that down south is the only ones to do it. New York does it, Boston does it, Maryland. That we were immigrants to this country, and they still don't know how to teach slavery, the horrible slavery that happened to this country to our children. And that's messed up. We got to watch these books that we're watching in the curriculum. Yeah. What do you say about that?
Yeah, and we also had an incident here in Wilmington, wasn't it, on Twitter? I believe there was a comparison of indigent servants.
Oh, yeah,
indigent
Mike
servitude
yes,
coming in and comparing that to slavery. Now, we know that there's a difference. There's a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Indigent servants, indentured servants, I'm saying the wrong thing the whole time. Indentured servants are not the same as a slave.
That's right.
It's not the same. And that's one thing they may teach in school and one thing they don't. And we think that we have to take it upon ourselves also at home and in our communities to keep that information flowing.
Right. And especially if your child is coming home and you're looking at look at their textbooks. Look at the curriculum that they're being taught. If they have textbooks. But look at that curriculum. See what they actually have in that book. Because later on, I've got a meme for you that's going to be really important. So if you can go to that next one, Keisha, we'll come back to that meme because I'm going to expand on that just a little bit. All right. Believe me, it's plain to see with the naked eye, we need more people to run for office in 2020. This is my plea to you. The status quo has no desire to help our communities, and the schemers just want to be in charge. So no matter who you are or what part of the political spectrum you are from, please consider running for office. Please consider running for office. We need you now. Let's get fresh ideas, transparency, real work, and a commitment to serve the community in office. Let's step up and serve the people. Now, what do you have to say about that?
Oh, I think that's very important. There are a lot of people who don't know and don't understand what it is to run for office. It's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of work. And it takes money, but it's well worth it. Because once you come out on the other end, regardless if you win or if you lose, you're still going to be better informed and you're going to be able to assist people even better, even more. So to get us more involved, you need a team. So whether you're the one that's going to run for office or you're going to be the person helping someone run for office, it still needs to get done so that our democracy will continue to keep going.
I'm going to say this 100%. If you even know somebody, I don't care if they 29 or 30 or in their 60s, and you think they would be a good person to be in office to help the community to go forward, please try to convince them to run because we need more voices. We need people to understand that they're elected there by our grace. We, the voters, are their employers.
Can I just say one thing before you move on from that? Since we're talking about people running for office, we're talking about change. And change doesn't mean that you're only going to vote for somebody because they happen to come to your door. The same amount of people or population of people that was in 2000 or 1970 something is not the same population of people that are here now. Households are 3 and 4 generations deep. So sometimes you can't, that elected representative can't always get to you personally. Don't hold it against them. But this is the time where either yourself or you reach out to someone to get more information for you to find out what that person is about. What do they stand for? Do their things align with yours? You know, so don't just dismiss them because, oh, well, they never came to see me. They never spoke to me personally. Those times have changed.
Well, I tell you what, if you, like my father used to say and my mother used to say, if it really was important to you, you would go out and get it. And they used to teach us that, me and my sister and my brother, you teach us that all the time. I got to do a shout out to, and this is with a heavy heart, that we're going to give our condolences to Brother Umar Hassan L. If you did not know, his wife passed away this week, and our hearts are heavy with her passing. I know she was a fantastic lady. I know Umar, you see here on Channel 28 for a number of years, and our condolences and our heartfelt sympathy goes to your family. And thank you for your service, and I'm sure they're going to have more on her services later on,
yes,
right?
And we thank you, and we send our prayers to you and your family for the strength, and we pass on the strength to keep you going every day.
All right. So, Keisha, whatever other ones that you have. All right, this is one of my favorites, y'all. Here we go.
Your favorite that came up this week.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. On the right, I guess, you have Michelle Obama. If you're afraid to use your voice, you need to give up your seat at the table. Now, Michelle Obama hit that right on the head. If you're afraid to use your voice, then you need to go. And I'm talking about Newcastle County members, Newcastle Council members. I'm talking about Wilmington Council members and anybody in Leg Hall that is not willing to stand up and have their voice. And the last one on it, you may not see the whole thing, but I'm going to give it to you. Don't feed your babies the same lies we ate. See, too much of us keep feeding our children the same lies that we ate. We're fighting the last war that already happened. That's one of the reasons why, you can come back to me. That's one of the reasons why, just one of the many reasons why Hillary Clinton lost the last election. She fought the same war that she thought she was fighting back in 2008 against Barack Obama. Give you a perfect example. Some of your poli-sci majors may disagree or agree with me, but one of the things that they have shown that Hillary Clinton, when she got in 2016, when she had to do a Twitter, she had a bigger Twitter mass than Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump didn't get on Twitter until he was 61 years old. How did he surpass her? Well, he started doing his own tweets. Hillary Clinton had to have the tweets go through 3 or 4 people. And by the time they went to 3 or 4 people, it was already too late. Donald Trump had beat her to the punch. And he threw a lot of stuff out there, and whatever stuck, he stayed with, and whatever didn't stick or resonate with people, he let it go. See, that's why we have to be adaptive. I've always said this. You give me somebody who can adapt well, I think they're better than a person that's just intelligent. Because true intelligence, to me, is being able to adapt. And if you can't adapt, you will die off like the dinosaurs. So in our communities, we have to be adaptive. What do you think about that, Yolanda?
Yes, I think we do have to be adaptable. Flexibility is key. Flexibility is very major part of life, as well as spiritually, physically, mentally. You have to be adaptable to all these things.
All right. Well, Keisha, do you have another one for us? All right. Strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others. Well, that's self-explanatory. The strongest people will always stand up for the people who are voiceless, who are powerless, and I'm standing up for the people of Wilmington and the people of Newcastle who are not being able to have their voices heard. Route 9 corridor. We do the banking. We got the banking initiative. We got a lot of stuff going on in the Route 9 corridor because the Route 9 corridor, being the first stop off the Delaware Memorial Bridge, should be better than it is right now. And we're working hard to get it to where it should be. With us, with all of our friends in other communities like Claymont and Newark, we're going to get the Route 9 corridor to where it should be. So I think we got a meme about the Croter, but whatever other thing that, and I'm going to talk about Croter for a second, but what other memes you got, there we go. Here we go. Keisha is on the ball. Look at that. Keisha, you are the best. Now, Croter is going to do a $250,000 fine. DENREC is going to give to Croter for that Thanksgiving debacle. Now, here's my thing. Does the community get any of that $250,000 fine? When they get this fine from DENREC, does it get dispersed to the community that had to go through all of this stuff? We tired of these people getting these fines for Wells Fargo, for the banking schemes and all, but nobody in the community get that money. Where does it go? And believe you me, $250,000 is a small drop in a bucket for a company like that. In fact, bring it back up again, Keisha, because let me just let y'all in the secret. Nancy even said this, and she's 100% right. The Delaware refinery was fined years ago, and they still didn't pay the money. So just because this government agency said they fined, these people will drag it out. These companies will drag it out, and we won't get the money. And then when the money gets into the pot of our government officials or the elected officials, I don't know where it goes. So hopefully $250 for $50,000 will go to some of the people that's in the communities around it, especially Collins Park, which is right there. So go on to the next one.
So before we take a break,
yeah,
we just to go with that too. What about the people that were working there, that everything came upon them as firsthand? We just started talking about recently the existence of OSHA.
That's right.
And one of the things that organizations like CBTU, Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, one of the things that they do is help to get people and let people under trades or employees know what it is and some of your rights with OSHA.
That's right.
And you know, so that $250,000 fine, is that going to any of the organizations or any of the employees or families or people that may have been physically affected by these things?
And when you're fighting those particular things, you're on the front line. Now, you are watching The Mind Matters, and this is the Baker family. I got to give it Ruth Baker again. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some more stuff. So I want you to have your cell phone out, and I want you to get a pen and a paper, and we'll be right back. all right. Listen, you're not looking at the Real Talk with Yolanda right now. You're looking at Mind Matters, but we wanted to put that up there that if you have not seen us on Channel 28, you can go to our YouTube page at Delaware Info Now. If you go to YouTube, Delaware Info Now, you can do the Real Talk with Yolanda and, of course, What's It to You with Jakim. Peace and blessings. We're back, family. Listen, we're bringing the funk today here because it's important for us to bring the funk. As Lapper producers, we want to bring the funk and tell you that we're not going anywhere. We are not going to be on this channel right now, but our voices will not be silenced. Our voice is your voice. And big shout out to all the Lapper producers, from the Congos to Herman Holloway to Charles Potter and Velda, the Potters, and many more. And in fact, we just had Omar. Omar just left. And Omar's, big shout out to you, Omar. You're one of the producers that's been doing a lot of stuff. Big shout out to Pastor D, too. Big shout out to you.
And Shayna and Dwayne.
And Shayna and Dwayne, the upper room. That's right. We also have another thing. Now, whatever one that you have now, Keisha, you can run it. Whatever one that you have now. If you have not noticed, you have not seen it, Kamaj Entertainment also does a lot of stuff throughout the thing. I'm all over the place. We either at Luther Towers, we either at Terry Apartments, big shout out to Terry, Absalon Jones Senior Center, so many senior centers. So if you ever see this, you probably know that that's going to be Yolanda and Jakim, and we're all over the place. Whatever else you got, Keisha, we're throwing everything at the wall today because, all right, I had talked about a little bit of this earlier. Marginalized people, and most of the people of color are marginalized people. You don't have to be nice to people. You don't have to educate anybody on their thing. I get it all the time. I have to educate you on why I believe that this system is against me. I don't have to debate or prove my oppression to you, and I have to make you feel comfortable. I give your opinion equal weight, just like experiences. Now, Keisha, we're going to bring it back here. One of my favorite authors is James Baldwin, and Ruth Baker will tell you as well. One of my favorite authors is James Baldwin. And James Baldwin had a great speech that says, I am not your Negro. I'm either your friend, your opponent, or an acquaintance. But I do not have to be your Negro. Do not put me on any board or anything to be your token. That's not what I'm about. That's not what we're about. And that's not what we as Africanized people should be about. We don't have to be that person to always be chucking and jiving and dancing for you. Now, I know I make some money off of that, don't get me wrong, but there's many layers to Jakim Muhammad. And one of those layers is that I will not feel marginalized because of your racism or your thing. And totally, I've said this before, we don't get into chicken fights about who should have this or who should have that with black folks. I don't get in chicken fights with no Latinos or Indian or nothing. No. I'm here to fight white supremacy. I'm here to bring equity to all people, and I'm here to fight for them as well. So I fight for white folks as well. Don't let nobody tell you anything else. I fight for all people. So what else? What's the next one? All right. This is an elected official. You see that one bit? See that one, sister?
Yes.
Now, in that picture, I am not saying, hey, it's great to meet you, Joe Biden. Hi, what is great? No, what I'm saying is that Wilmington, you know we need your help. So, you know we need some stuff here. And if you have any influence, can you get it done? Next one. So you'll never see. The 16th RD, big shout out to the 16th RD Democratic Committee. We are looking for a new treasurer. So if you live in our area for the 16th RD Democratic Committee, we're looking for a treasurer. Our next meeting is April 10th, and it's going to be at the Route 9 Library. And if you are a Democrat and you want to come down and check us out, come on down. April 10th at the Route 9 Library, 6 p.m. sharp. Believe you me, I run a sharp meeting. Is that right, Yolanda?
Because I make sure he keeps on time. That's why the meetings are so sharp.
Well, I think
But
you
run the
and
type sheet,
Carmela
yes.
make sure that you
Yes.
and Carmela Crawford make sure we get out of there on time. Do what we got to
Well,
do.
that's mainly because we respect people's times.
That's right.
This is a volunteer thing that we're all doing, that we come down and we volunteer to do that, to find out what's going on in our communities. We all come together. But we respect your time, and we ask that everybody respects everybody else's time. So that's one of the reasons why we get it done.
And too many of our elected officials don't respect your time, and too many of our people don't respect your time. How many times have you gone to these people and you've heard a speech? Oh my God, I ain't gonna lie to you. There was a speech last year that we was at a function. I'm not going to tell you the function. We was at a speech that the speech lasted 45 minutes. The person that gave the honorarium lasted 45 minutes. You know what he kept saying? I'm going to keep this short. But it kept going on for 45 minutes. Dudes, Mark Twain said it best. He said, if I had more to say, I would write you a shorter letter. If I had more, if you just, I see it on Facebook all the time, and me and Yolanda, these people think that they are so smart and intelligent. They're writing a whole paragraph, a whole soliloquy, a whole recitation on Facebook. Dissertation on Facebook. When you could have said that with just 2 sentences. So don't do that. So next one you got, Keisha. That's it? All right. So we're going to end, we're going to end with this particular meme that we have with honoring the woman. Now, I put this one up here because we knew he was going to be on Minds Matter, or Ruth Baker's show, and the Baker's show. So we wanted to make sure that we have to honor our women. We cannot be as strong as a society until we bring the women with equal pay and parity to men. Women should have equal in everything we do. Our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, our daughters are important to us. And it's a shame that March is the Women's History Month. Women's History Month is, to me, just like Black History Month. It's every month. And you should honor the sisters because they are an integral part of what we do in our communities. And what do you say about that?
What can I say? It's true. It's all true. You know, there's nothing else to add on top of that cherry. We just gonna boop, top that off. So,
all right, and a big shout out to Sister. Since you say Cherry, big shout out to Sherry Congo.
Cherry Congo.
Big shout out to you. we had a good time yesterday. We're doing our thing. So I just wanted to wrap up with some stuff that we are now at a stage that we're not going to go backwards. We in our communities are now at a stage that we're not going to go backwards. We're going to go forward, and forward with gusto. It doesn't matter where you live at, whether it be in Wilmington, in Dunleith, Rose Garden, Collins Park, Swanwick. I don't care where you live. We now have a different type of fight. Listen, racism and sexism and classism all have, it's like a 9-headed monster. It's a lot of different things. And one of the things that I want you to know in this, in 2019, is that you have to fight all of them. They're all connected. I was just at a store the other day, and this Dunkin' Donuts that I was at, somebody came in and I guess they was transsexual. It was a guy that dressed up as a woman. And I saw 2 black men over there. Oh, I ain't gonna deal with them. I ain't gonna deal with them. You got to deal with that person. You got to deal with that. Come on, man. Y'all got to get off of this. This is 2019. I don't care what their sexual preference or what they dressing up as. I don't care if they came in dressed like Homie the Clown. You still respect each and every person. You still give each and every person respect. I'm not even going to go into any national stuff with Jussie Smollett. I'm not going to go into that. You'll see it on our YouTube, and you'll see it on Facebook and all that other stuff. I'll go into that, my take on those things. I'm not going to get into the Mueller report. Oh my God, forget about it. We ain't going to get into that. But you'll see it on our other stuff. We're going to do some national stuff. and we're going to talk about some national issues, but right now we're going to talk about Wilmington. And let me just say one more thing with Wilmington. People will hijack your organization every day. We've seen it with the HBCU. A big shout out to Steve Washington with the HBCU coalition. Then all of a sudden, our mayor has an HBCU thing. We'll see it with what we call the police bingo. The police bingo is this. We still do not have body cams for Wilmington police officers in Wilmington. Do you know that?
Yes.
And one of the things is, if you really want the public to trust in your transparency, you may not want a civilian complaint review board. I don't know. I personally like it, but other people don't. And the FOP is pretty powerful in this state.
Fraternal Order of Police?
Yeah, the Fraternal Order of Police. But for Wilmington not to have body cams for their cops, that's a problem. That's a problem. Secondly, these people, and when we're talking about people running for office, why is it soon as the people don't get into office, you don't see them anymore? We had a whole bunch of people. We had a slew of people in 2018 run for a lot of offices, and right after they didn't win the primary or the general election, they disappeared. Pay attention to those people. Those people just want to be in power. They don't want to help the community. They just want to be in power. That's a bad thing. We've had 50, 60 years of that. We've had black politicians in office in our communities for 50, 60, 70 years. And we're tired of that. Just because you didn't win the primary or you didn't win the general election, you disappeared. That tells me something about you. So we're gonna talk about you for 2020. Don't come back in 2020 or 2022 and say, now I want to run. You're the same as the other people. Two sides of the same coin. Do not be fooled by our false allies in our community. So anything else you want to say?
Oh, there's so much. There's so much. I mean, you know, the time has really flown. But I do want to leave you with stuff that I found out in the community within the last few days and weeks and whatever. One thing is there's some community health fairs that are going to be coming up.
Yes.
So keep your eyes and ears open for those. We're going to be posting those things on our Unit 1 Delaware.
Unit 1 Delaware
on
and
Facebook,
Delaware Info
and
Now.
Delaware Info Now. We'll have a lot of that stuff up. Follow Jakim on Facebook or Instagram and Twitter. What do we got?
We got 6 minutes, baby.
We got 6?
Yeah.
So we got that. So we got in April, we have a eye exam for all ages, supposedly at the William Hicks Anderson Community Center in Wilmington. That's been put up on the Facebook page. You'll see the flyers out there for all ages, but you must register for by April 15th in order to be considered for that program.
And that's important too. Now you're going to see me a whole up. So this way you don't say that I don't know where I can find him. The top one is the Twitter. The bottom one is the Instagram. And it's easy to find me on Facebook, just Jakim Muhammad. So the real Jakim, now let me just say this. Somebody asked me about that. Why are you the real Jakim on Twitter? Because I used to be on Twitter about 4 years ago, and I got off of Twitter because Twitter has some of the worst trolls you will ever see. You will ever see on Twitter. If you want to see the racism that we have in our community, the sexism, go look at some of the comments on YouTube or Twitter. Oh my God, they're terrible. But, so since I started the other one, this is the real Jakim on Twitter and at Jakim Muhammad on Instagram. Now let me just say this. I'm going to scrub my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter accounts because we've got some trolls on there, and I advise anybody who's listening to the sound or watching this television, look at your friends on there, and if your friends have not commented on any of your stuff in the last 2 years, get rid of them. They're probably bots. And please do not accept any friends requests from people who don't even have a picture up. Now, the Russian bots and all the other bots, they're getting a little tricky on it. They put little pictures on it. But if somebody doesn't have a picture, do not accept them as your friend. They either surveillance or they just bots. So I just recently did that with one of our friends that's in the media. I just told him, I said, you know what? And this is my Instagram. You know, you put a lot of pictures up here and we comment on it and you haven't said anything about the comments. So this is for all the people who are also these people on MSNBC or CNN. If you don't follow and comment on people who are making comments on you, get rid of them because you don't need them. We're doing them a favor. What do you say about that?
I say that's a thing that you deal with more than I do. I'll say that. But I do want to say that I'm quite sure that we're going to leave a little bit of time for you to run that information. And I know Ms. Ruth Baker wants to also say thank you very much to all the Lapa family and to everyone that has supported her and her show throughout all this time, and keep an eye out for it too.
That is correct. Again, Ruth Baker and the Baker family have been doing Mind Matters for years, and let me tell you something. They've put a fantastic program on, and what we have for the future, we don't know, but we'll keep you informed. And the Baker family, we love you to death. We know that you're out there and you're doing your stuff. And let me just give you this last one. And this is for all of my people that's in business. Now, I've owned 3 businesses before. Things are usually good, cheap, or fast. Those are my usual thing. If it's good and cheap, go ahead, what is it going to be?
It won't be fast.
It won't be fast. If it's fast and good,
it won't be
cheap. And if it's cheap and fast, most likely it ain't good. This is from all of my photography people out there. You know that David's shaking his head, yes. All my photography people, all my graphics people, all my DJs, all my musicians, believe you me, they don't need all of that. They need the money. They don't want you to give them no sandwiches. They need the money. Any artist out there, support the arts by giving them money. Big shout out to LaFay Galleries. Give them the money. And as an artist, I will say this. Listen, you know, I need, Dave, this is going to be good exposure for you. No, I don't need the exposure. What I need is doggone money. So support your arts. They want the money more than they need that exposure because they can make their own exposure if you give them the money. And that's my deal with it. All my artists out there, if you play an instrument, I know they're taking a lot of the stuff out of there. So any closing remarks?
No, just keep your mind up and keep your mind where it matters.
Mind matters. Big shout out to Ruth Baker, Josie Roy, and the rest of the crew. We'll see you when we see you. And we're signing off from Wilmington, Delaware. Y'all have a great one.